Organize your life. Transform your confusion into clarity. Stoic philosophy, diving into the inner fog. There's a silent anguish that settles when your mind turns into a labyrinth of fragmented script. Each thought a loose leaf in the wind. Each idea a solitary fragment without connection. You feel your chest tighten, carrying invisible piles of tasks, deadlines, and reminders that overlap like papers stacked in a disorganized drawer, corroding the peace that should come from the simple act of being present. Seneca would compare this confusion to an overflowing cup, saying that only chaos remains, nothing for virtue, because when the mind is cluttered, it finds no room for the clarity that sustains conscious action. Epictetus reminds us that it is not circumstances that confuse us, but the judgment we make of them. And it is in this moment of reflection that you realize how much you have ceded the inner helm to the voices of external demand, letting yourself be swept away by the current of the unexpected. To what extent does the disorder that invades your desk and your calendar reflect a deeper disharmony in the territory of your being? Feeling the weight of this question reverberate in your body, you are invited to dive into your own inner fog, seeking the spark of clarity capable of reorganizing chaos into purpose. 1. The wound of overstimulation. When cell phone alerts sound like incessant drums and tasks flash on the computer screen with almost electric urgency, your body reacts as if each notification carried a small shock. Your breathing accelerates without you noticing, and your heart seems to beg for a truce, while your mind fills with a continuous hum of demand. You feel an invisible weight on your shoulders, a strapless backpack that becomes heavier with each unread message, each improvised commitment, each approaching deadline. This anguish translates into tension in your neck muscle and a diffuse headache, reminding you that excess stimulation corrodes inner peace like water erodes unprotected bank. In the midst of this whirlwind, the paradoxical sensation of loneliness strongly sets in. Surrounded by emails, meetings, and tasks that multiply, you find yourself distant from yourself, disconnected from your own voice. The false promise of immediate connection, the idea that productivity and continuous information bring security, ends up creating an emotional desert because as the virtual world expands, the bond with oneself fades. You long for a silence that never comes, for a moment of respite where you can rediscover your own rhythm and the priorities that truly matter. Behind this overload pulses a deep desire for purpose, small daily victories, a project moving forward, a meaningful conversation, a minute of full presence cry out for recognition, but often go unnoticed amidst the noise. It's like having a dike about to burst, where every drop of diverted attention increases the risk of collapse, letting the sense of accomplishment slip away before it transforms into confidence. Recognizing this wound of overstimulation means taking the first step to cultivate clarity, slowing down the flow of notifications, silencing the inner whirlwind, and creating the space where small victories can finally flourish. 2. The misunderstood Stoic. Organization is not rigidity. There's a profound misconception when we confuse discipline with absolute control, as if organizing meant building chains that bind us to an inflexible rhythm. This error manifests when the agenda becomes a silent executioner, dictating every second in the name of an efficiency that never quite satisfies. The body cries for a truce and the mind asks for a break, but the internal clock remains impassive, reminding us that without flexibility, even the best designed plan cracks under the first pressure. Seneca would warn us that a structure without flexibility is like a tree trunk that does not move. It cracks at the first strong wind. By trying to impose rigid order on every aspect of life, you end up transforming organization itself into a source of stress, for the unexpected becomes an enemy and spontaneity a hostage to an overly inflexible script. True Stoic discipline finds harmony by allowing structure to guide without imprisoning, embracing the unforeseen as part of the journey and not as a threat to control. When order aligns with fluidity, life becomes navigable, not rigid. Instead of fearing the curves of the path, you learn to adjust sails and rudder, using your inner map to orient yourself, but without ignoring the breath of the wind that changes direction. This compassionate discipline makes organization an instrument of freedom, creating clarity without suffocating the natural movement of your choice. 3. Inner rupture The day chaos won. There was a morning when you woke up early, sun still hesitant on the horizon, determined to conquer the day, but found only an avalanche of unread emails and spreadsheets multiplying like unwelcome. Each notification lit an alert in your body. A chill ran down your spine as you opened your inbox and faced tasks that piled up indiscriminately. You wanted to act, but the urgency of everything that was important mingled with a lack of clarity about where to start, and time slipped through your fingers while anxiety fed on indecision. In a few moments, the day ran out without anything actually being accomplished. Routine meetings consumed your attention, pending reports corroded your focus, and your mind, saturated with stimuli, begged for silence where there were only more lists. Exhaustion settled like a dense fog that prevents full breathing, and you realized that instead of using your to-do list as a compass, you had become its prisoner. Each checked item brought momentary relief, but was soon replaced by 5 new ones, reinforcing the sensation that inner chaos had become an endless labyrinth. And now, in this moment of tired lucidity, the provocation echoed. Has your to-do list become a prison instead of a compass, feeling your body and mind begging for a truce? The urgency to reclaim lost clarity arises. Recognizing this day when chaos won is accepting the invitation to redefine your method, align priorities with purpose, and regain the helm of a boat that for a moment found waters too turbulent to navigate without a firm rudder. 4. Stoic practice, the 4 anchors mapping. Upon waking, take a blank sheet of paper and draw 4 circles, reserving one for self, another for work, a third for health, and the last for relationship. Within each circle, define a single real priority for the day, that action which, if done, will bring the greatest impact to each area. By isolating an essential task in each sphere, your mind frees itself from the whirlwind of options and gains immediate clarity on where to dedicate your energy and presence. Throughout the morning, keep these circles in sight, whether on a notepad, a post-it stuck to the mirror, or on your phone screen. Whenever the anxiety to address superfluous demands arises, look at your anchor map and refocus on what you have chosen. This simple structure acts as an internal beacon, guiding your decisions without imprisoning your freedom to respond to the unexpected. When night falls, revisit your circles and evaluate what has effectively flourished in each area. Acknowledge the small victory, kind word offered to yourself in the mirror. Progress on a project, time dedicated to self-care, a gesture of connection with someone important, and note a fine-tuning for the next day. This nightly ritual seals your commitment to your inner compass and strengthens the practice of flexible discipline. For with each review, you calibrate the course of a boat that sails through the present with clear purpose. Thus, by transforming 4 circular anchors into a living map, you give real meaning to organization, making it a fertile environment for Stoic virtue to flourish in every aspect of your life. 5. Revealing metaphor, from labyrinth to map. Imagine yourself lost in an immense labyrinth, each corridor resembling a forgotten task, each bifurcation reflecting a postponable choice. Your heart races when you realize there's no exit in sight, as the walls stretch in confusing directions and instinct pushes you forward without direction. This inner sensation is the same we experience when we let external disorder dictate our days. Hours get lost in the alleys of urgent obligations, and clarity escapes through the cracks of chaos. Now visualize the transformation as you draw, on paper, the map of this labyrinth. You mark the entrance, highlight the routes already explored, and calmly trace the path to the exit. Every decision to refuse a superfluous invitation, to delegate a task, or to silence notifications is equivalent to crossing out a section of the drawing, eliminating unnecessary corridors and revealing shortcuts that keep your trajectory direct to your purpose. In this act of drawing the map, the labyrinth loses its power to confuse, for each line drawn represents the conscious choice of where to tread. Finally, ask yourself, when you look back, what course do you want to see drawn on your own map? Where will be the marks of the moments when you prioritized calm instead of hate, presence instead of distraction, essence instead of superficiality? This invitation echoes as an inner call to take the reins of your own destiny, transforming life's labyrinth into a clear route written by your most purposeful decision, rediscovering your inner compass. Seneca reminds us that waste not life trying to hold the wind, adjust your sails to the right direction. And this image resonates as an invitation to trust the order you yourself have built. By allowing your 4 anchors to direct your daily focus, by drawing lines on the map of your inner labyrinth, and by practicing flexible discipline, you create firm ground where Stoic virtue can flourish without suffocating the spontaneity of the journey. Marcus Aurelius would whisper that a clear soul fears not the morrow, for those who navigate with a defined purpose transcend unforeseen storm. Clarity is not a destination, but a state of present, cultivated each morning by choosing the essential and each night by recognizing the day's small victory. It is in this dynamic of conscious choice that your inner compass asserts itself, guiding your steps with the lightness of one who knows where they are going without dropping anchors in everything they see. Silent victory reveals itself the instant you realize that every trace of clarity is a step out of the labyrinth. Every decision aligned with purpose reduces chaos to a supporting role rather than the protagonist. When the mind finds space for virtue, life ceases to be a tangle of loose papers and becomes a living map, written by your own compassionate choice, and now before the map you drew with attention and intention. The question that echoes as a final compass arises. If your tomorrow had to be drawn today, what marking would you make on your map?